Well, there's been so much talk about Jayden Daniels year two, his sophomore year, if you will, in the NFL, and it's going to be a big fat slump. At least that's if you're talking to Philadelphia Eagles fans, Dallas Cowboys fans, New York Giants fans, basically any fan around the league who has been very jealous over the rookie season that Jayden Daniels had and the season overall that the Washington Commanders had this past season. There's been so much talk going on X, and I've been involved in some of it as well, to the point to where I have to realize, dude, you're 50 years old. You should not be playing child games and conversing with some of these knuckleheads. But here we are. I guess I'm a knucklehead as well. But yeah, I've heard it a lot on social media, and you've heard it some in the news media, sports media as well. That year two is going to be the year of the slump for Jayden Daniels. Why? Well, they don't really give a rationale for it. All that they really do is they point back to CJ Stroud of the Houston Texans and his sophomore season this past year. And they're like, he wasn't nearly as good in his sophomore year as he was in his rookie season. Maybe because people were starting to figure him out. Maybe he felt like he didn't have to work as hard. Whatever the reason was, he didn't play as well. Guess what? He still took his team to the playoffs. So, I mean, is that really considered a sophomore slump when you're able to take your team to the playoffs twice in a row? Your rookie season, your sophomore season. It's not like that the Texans had a losing season. So, I kind of, yeah, I understand maybe his numbers were down and that sort of thing. But guess what? He was CJ Stroud. He's a completely different person. He's a completely different quarterback. You can't deny if you watched every game of Jayden Daniels' career so far in his rookie season, you saw pretty quickly a development of a quarterback throughout this year that, quite frankly, midway through the season, he played like a 10-year veteran. He did not play, he did not make a lot of rookie mistakes. Honestly, I can't really sit down and point out a glaring rookie mistake that he made. Now, yeah, we all make mistakes. Jayden Daniels made mistakes, of course. Not saying he's perfect, not saying he can walk on water. I'm just saying that he didn't play like a rookie last year. And the thing is that it wasn't one of those Cinderella type thing where, he started off great and then suddenly he lost his slippers and he started becoming a little bit more, as the season progresses, teams are going to figure it out, and so they're going to help slow you down. He remained, I mean, he got better and better as the season progressed. And that, yes, as the season progresses, they're going to be able to find out what you do best, going to try to shut that down. Jayden Daniels was never really shut down this year. You might be able to point out, well, wait a minute, Greg, because now you got to put your mindset into the frame of mind of like a Philadelphia Eagles fan, for instance, because they seem to be the ones who are jawing mostly at Washington Commanders fans and vice versa. Not so much, you do hear a little bit from Dallas fans and Giants fans, but of course you're going to hear a lot of talk from the Super Bowl champ fans, right? So, they were talking about pointing out the fact that, well, look, he threw 5 interceptions against us in that first game. Yes, you beat us, but only because we didn't have Jalen Hurts, and you had to beat, uh, you know, Pickett, and then of course you get to the end of the season, that game against the Dallas Cowboys, and of course Jayden not really doing a whole lot. They pull him not because of bad play, but because they wanted to save them for the playoffs. We had already clinched a playoff spot. So it didn't really matter, what the outcome of the Dallas game was going to be. And, of course, Marcus Mariota comes in, just plays, yeah, had a great game. And so, of course, they look at that and like, well, look, Jayden Daniels, he played pretty terrible against the Cowboys. They pulled him for Marcus Mariota. Um, if you're a fan of any other NFC East team other than Washington Commanders, that's going to be your mindset, which is a bunch of baloney, but there you go. And yet we look at what Jayden Daniels did in the postseason. Now, yes, again, Philadelphia Eagles fans, all they're going to do is they're going to point to the scoreboard in the NFC Conference Championship game, just like they do in every single argument on social media. 55-23, 55-23. Jayden Daniels, how many times did he turn the ball over? Well, guess what? Nobody whatsoever picked Washington Commanders to even make it to the playoffs last year. They didn't even pick them to win more than 6 games last year. You know why? Because neither did I. And yet they win 12 games and they go all the way to the NFC Conference Championship game. And then, of course, that sparks the whole argument between Philadelphia Eagles fans and Washington Commanders fans. And then, you know, comparing the rookie seasons and then comparing, well, what has Jalen Hurts accomplished at the same age that Jayden Daniels has accomplished? Well, that's a stupid argument because, for one thing, Jalen Hurts has already been in the NFL for a few seasons. And whereas this was Jayden Daniels' rookie season, you can't compare age because you have to compare experience. Jayden Daniels had not had the prior experience of playing in the NFL. Jalen Hurts did. Now, am I taking anything away from Jalen Hurts? No, because he's accomplished quite a bit at his very young age in the NFL. But, all of this points back to really Jayden Daniels is not that great of a quarterback. I've heard so much about, he's not really, you can't really point him toward being a top 5 quarterback. You can't, maybe top 10, maybe number 10 at the highest. You got a lot of people out there who are just straight up haters and doubters of Jayden Daniels. What is the reason why he would be in a sophomore slump this year? Well, it can't be because of offensive line protection. We went and upgraded the left tackle position in Tunsil. Where Brandon Coleman played really well at that position. I felt this past year they're moving him on the right side to right tackle, um, which I think is a great move. Yes, we're probably likely not going to have Sam Cosmi for at least half of the season, although that he is making ahead of schedule progress. The last time I heard with his recovery, you're not going to have him at the beginning of the season. So yeah, that is going to be one point of weakness, but you've upgraded the offensive line. You've added Deebo Samuel, which again, people are pointing out, well, you're adding all these old people and Washington Commanders have gotten old. That's the reason why Jayden Daniels is going to be in a slump. Look, you got Zach Ertz. He's 50 years old. Not really, but you got guys like that. You got Deebo Samuel, Marshawn Lattimore, all these guys. They're 300 years old, collectively. This is the oldest team in the NFL, which they're not, but this is one of the oldest teams in the NFL. So, of course, all together, while my team has gotten so much younger and wiser and more handsome, and we're going to make multiple Super Bowls year in and year out, your team has gotten old and cruddy, and so you know your Adam Peters that you find to be a god of NFL personnel really doesn't know what he's doing. It's a big bunch of baloney because number one, how do you make such a big turnaround in 1 year with the roster? And the roster turned over quite a bit from the Ron Rivera era to the Dan Quinn era in a short amount of time. I mean, we really didn't keep, especially skill positions, really didn't keep a lot of those guys. And you're going to say that Adam Peters is really not that great of a general manager. Jayden Daniels is going to be in a slump. This is all hater talk. This is really all. It's hater talk, and it's scared to death talk. I was going to say something else, and I didn't. That's all it is. That is all it is. It's just a bunch of hogwash junk that people are talking, and it's not just fans. It's it's social media. It's sports media, not social media, but it's sports media. It's everybody else who doesn't like the Washington Commanders, and even the sports junkies who I feel mm, not really a big fan of them. Kind of sometimes feel like they manufacture some things, but I guess they have to do it because they need the ratings. But even they're kind of talking about this like, oh, are you kidding me? Um, there's no reason why Jayden Daniels is going to have a sophomore slump. You know why? Because he's well coached, for one thing. Um, I watched an interview on, I think it was the, oh, what they call it? It's the new podcast with uh, Alex Smith on it, and they had uh, Dan Quinn on there as a guest, and he was really talking about the uh, I guess the preparation that goes into how do you prepare for season two, because you feel like you're improved. There's a lot more at stake. You accomplished you really over accomplished last year by going to the NFC championship game. Now that's really an expectation. So how do you get back there? So Dan Quinn kind of laid out his game plan in a way of what you do to prepare for that. And he's already doing that. And it's not just, X's and O's and, hard work and pumping iron and stuff like that. It's a lot of different things that go into a preparation mindset. A lot of it's mindset. And so he's working on that mindset to get his players ready. And that's what's going to happen. So if anybody thinks that Jayden Daniels is going to go into a sophomore slump in year two, you're ridiculous. As what I've heard so many times, even from Eagles fans, you don't know ball. You don't know ball. I mean, it's ridiculous. Really, honestly, I think you're a hater because if you didn't pay attention to how Jayden Daniels played, I don't care. Honestly, don't care about Jalen Hurts and his performance. I give him props. I give the Philadelphia Eagles props. They won the Super Bowl. They're the best team in the league, and you're going to see them going out there and proving that game in, game out. That's going to happen. It's rough that we play in the same division as them, but it also, you know, makes us better. So, I mean, all this stupid talk about uh, a sophomore slump and the reasoning behind it's ridiculous. Jayden Daniels is going to be improved this year because the team's going to be improved. And if you think the team has not been improved yet, number one, we haven't even been through the draft yet. We're getting ready for the draft. So and I'm sorry that we haven't had much talk at all about the draft. I really didn't get to watch a lot of college football. Actually, I didn't get to watch any college football hardly at all this past year. So I feel like I can't really comment a lot on who I think we should pick up because I just really wasn't involved, unfortunately, and which I know kind of hurts this channel because I should know what I'm talking about. But I do know what I'm talking about when it comes to the Washington Commanders. And they're going to be no worse than exactly how they were last year. But they're not going to be exactly how they were last year. They're going to be better. because the team has gotten better. We've brought in some players. Yes, we lost a couple of players I wish we had kept, but we also have brought in some players that have improved positions, that's elevated positions, and we're still going into the draft now to the point where, you know what, we don't have to worry about this or that, position. We can take the best player available, or we can trade down and get more draft picks and pick up the best player available at those positions. So we are in a great position. Jayden Daniels is going to rock it again this coming season. It's going to be great. Without sounding like Donald Trump, this is going to be the best season ever. The Washington Commanders, at least minimum, making it to the NFC Championship game. And I could see a repeat of that. Hopefully, I won't see a repeat of the performance that they had. Would love to see them in the Super Bowl. Who wouldn't? Anyway, take care, folks. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a like, give it a share. Make sure you are subscribed to this channel. All you have to do is hit that subscribe button, and boom, you're subscribed. I mean, really, it's not that difficult. Take care, folks. I will see you in the next one.